Hello and welcome to Principles of Energy. We are going to be talking about Module 3, starting with units of energy and derived units. So I'm going to share screen and start slideshow. So the first thing we're going to start out with is just units themselves and what they each mean. If having a unit table would be helpful for you, please make sure that you might have one on hand, or just keep in mind that you can look up each unit of energy. On this little table here, you have the type of thing that you're quantifying. And then SI is your System International. This is what most of the world uses. And over here is the English system, which is what we tend to use in the United States, but you can see both, and most things are printed with both pieces of information. And then over here is the conversion of what it means. So for example, if I'm talking about velocity, it's a foot per second. 1 foot per second is equal to 0.305 meters per second. So if you ever need to switch something from the English system to the System International, you are welcome to do so using this table set. And so once again, just keeping in mind easy units, acceleration, we talked about as meters per second squared. In the English system, it's feet per second squared. Force can be measured in newtons, which is very accurate and a great way to measure force. But in the English system, we do measure force by pounds. Energy is measured in joules. In the English system, it's foot-pounds. And power is measured in watts. And this is used in the US as watts. We don't really use feet-pounds per second, but we do use horsepower. We like to use it in vehicle transportation because it sounds cool, but it is left over from back when they were trying to sell you a car and what you knew best was a horse. And so you could compare it to a horse, and you would say that the vehicle's steam engine, or this tractor steam engine, or this system, this combustion engine attached to it, was equal to this many horses of power. But just so we know, for our own vehicle use, it's equal to 746 watts of power. This is a spaghetti graph. It is something that I might show you in an exam and ask you to tease out some information. But if you know how to use a spaghetti graph, it can be quite useful, and it allows you to see different derived units, and it can allow you to reverse engineer how to find something. So if I want to find the mass of something, I can see how it works in if I was given a Newton, and I would say I want to find the mass. I know that the breakdown of it would be the sets of meters per second squared and the mass itself of kilograms. So I can reverse engineer and see that it took this piece here. And then if I ride this purple line down here, I can see it's meters per second squared. So it allows me to see that was a form of acceleration. So I combined a base unit of a kilogram and a derived unit of acceleration, and that allowed me to get a special unit that is force in newtons. Same thing with joules. I can see it's newtons per meter. And if I want to reverse engineer it, I know that a newton is kilograms per meter per second squared, and I can keep breaking it down. And that allows me to understand what a joule is. Since joule is my energy or work in a quantity, my power is my watt, which is going to be a joule over time. So when we talk about wattage, that means how many joules, singular joules, produced every second. That is what we're talking about when we talk about what is its energy holding, right, versus its actual use. So you can think of it as its potential and its kinetic. Everything comes full circle, right, in this class as we work through. Derived units, breaking down. Velocity is a change in position over time. It includes direction and the common unit meters per second squared. Acceleration is the change in velocity over time. Force is common units Newton, and it is the mass times the acceleration. And pressure is a force over an exerted area. So in that case, it's going to be my mass divided by my acceleration, or my meters per second squared. So it's going to be my mass, or my area, divided by meters per second times per second squared. Some more derived units. Energy is force times change in position, common unit joules, newtons times meters. Power is the change in energy over time. And this can be seen in watts, and it's joules per seconds. Work can be quantified into an equation. Work is equal to the force times its distance. So if I have the example of a man pushing a box across the floor, exerting a force of 150 newtons on it, in the direction of motion, if the box moved 3 meters, how much work has been done? And if I do that math, I end up with 450 joules of work. Work can also be seen in the equation of change, right? The little triangle means change is times by its kinetic plus its potential energy. Another way that we can see work plus thermal activity, and we're getting ready to go into our thermal units in the next module. Thermal energy is symbolized by Q. So if I take work plus the thermal energy, because we do lose a lot of it to frictional force, which is a transition to thermal energy a lot of the time, is change times the kinetic plus the potential energy plus the thermal energy. That often gives me a full look of the law of conservation of energy. When I see that, I can find most of the missing energy in my equation, because energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just changing from one form to another. So when I add in heat energy, I'm taking some of that energy that transitioned to something that I couldn't harness or utilize in my transfers of energy. And this just goes into exactly what I was saying about the laws of conservation of energy. And so I'm going to stop the video right here and pick up with a new video just for timing. And I will see you in the next video.